Hello, and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics, which is no easy feat. That giggle you hear in the background is my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
This is all I got. I've been working on it.
You have to remember, you have to speak when you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah. Oh,
wave, or
that's
we're not going to see
right.
it.
That's right. It was mostly for you at first, though, and then I
Oh, okay,
realized
well,
that
I
you can
appreciate
see
it.
me.
The Queen's wave.
Happy Wednesday,
The
everyone.
queen. Oh, wait, we covered that. All right. The voice that you don't hear in the background is
Mm,
not a witness.
yes,
He may or may not be under our desks. He is the man behind the curtain. But
that might
just
be the giggling.
trust us. Trust us, he's there. Um, happy February, y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in the best way.
Mhm.
And we're so glad you're here. We're glad to be here. We've had a couple of technical difficulties on a few different ends, on both ends, you could say. And right now we're not having as many of those technical difficulties on either end.
Yay!
Yeah, our ends are clean and good to go.
Dying. Those are wait. Yeah, my ends are clean as well, as you can
Good.
see. Super wet,
Yes.
so I cleaned. There's that.
Super wet, clean ends. Just what
Yeah,
more can
squeaky
you hope for?
clean.
Squeaky
Yeah.
clean.
We have a lot going on, and for topics this week I had like 12, and then I read some more, and then I added another one, and then I was like, yeah. And then when you sent over the two that we'll be covering, I was like, okay, those are on my list, and I'm like, I don't need to learn much more besides like today's news to cover it updated. 'Cause there's oh yeah, chaos. Speaking of
Yeah.
chaos, side note, if you have Netflix, there is a series called Chaos with a K, and it is the
Ooh.
Greek mythical gods. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's amazing. Zeus is played by dang, what is his name? Oh, total brain fart right now. There's so many people in it, and yeah, Kaos. It is so good. I didn't know anyone else was watching it. Brantley, everyone loves Brantley, sent me a message and said, "Have you seen this new show?" And I'm like, "I finished that last week. It is so good." So you guys who are into myths, debunking myths, are fascinated by them, like myself, check it out. Jeff Goldblum, that's who plays Zeus. And you wouldn't think he is a good Zeus. He is such a good Zeus.
Um,
Yes.
Jeff Goldblum's a good whatever the
Yeah.
fuck he wants.
My
He's the
favorite
Grand Master.
movie with Jeff Goldblum is Transylvania 6 5000. It's from like 1986 or 87. Like it's really
Holy
old,
shit.
but it's so good. So, there's that. There's that.
Oh,
Yeah, but yeah, chaos. That's where we live. The United States of chaos.
yeah, yeah. There's that. But we're not starting with the U.S. tonight. We're
No,
starting
we are not.
with some newly, newly owned land of the United States. Is it
Oh,
the
oh
United
yeah.
States or is it not?
You
So
know, I do know that our president said that he isn't going to buy it because there's nothing to buy.
there's
That
nothing to buy.
he's just gonna take it.
Well, he didn't say that. He wouldn't say he's just going to take it.
Hmm.
He's just going to strongly imply that he's going to take it because he
Right, but
doesn't
he
have
did
to.
kind of say it, sitting right next to the King of Jordan
Well,
in the
right,
White
but
House.
did he say it? Because
Right, right.
I mean, he wouldn't do that. It's just going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like Israel's going to really control Gaza. They're just going to be in control of it.
Right.
It's, yeah, it's it's fine. It's not that Benjamin Netanyahu wants this. It's just that he's going to get it and it kind of falls within his
Yes.
greater agenda.
Right.
It'll all work out for everyone who
The whole
matters anyway.
ceasefire thing, yeah, we're gonna touch on a little bit of all things Gaza first and foremost. And
Yeah.
I also have an add-on to our story about the West Bank.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I guess yeah, first things first. In case you live under a rock and you're not caught up with the things we haven't covered in the last couple of weeks, Trump said that we're basically going to own Gaza and make
Mhm.
it like a Riviera. Like we're basically going to make it um, Gaza Mar-a-Lago, Gaza Lago. Yeah,
It
and
was kind of funny.
yeah, and this is going to be so good, so nice for all of those people who live there, who aren't going to live there anymore, because he's going to
Mhm.
export them to Jordan, to
Mm.
Egypt, to neighboring countries. But those countries said that they're not going to take them.
Right,
Not
because
just
they don't want to
because,
be complicit in the genocide and ethnic cleansing, not because they're not
correct,
humanitarian. Right.
right, right. It's not because the dirty, dirty Palestinians are just too dangerous and treacherous to want near anyone else. It's that no one really wants to help facilitate an ethnic cleansing. Not sure why. It seems like all the cool kids are doing it, but they don't really want to be part of the cool kids, which I don't understand. We have a lot of cool kids here. Have you seen Elon Musk? He's hanging out in the White House. I'm pretty sure he's one of the cool kids, but no one wants to hang with them.
Mm.
Um, again, really quite weird, but
Nobody.
that's how it is.
Poor guy.
Um, but I've already discussed this today. I'm still having a hard time just trying to straight and narrow talk through it because it's so fucky. It's so it's so twisty turny and fuckety wuckety, if you know what I mean. Um, because we're okay. Trump has ordered Hamas to release the rest of the goddamn hostages by Saturday, or
Mm.
else, after already just with the ceasefire, then demanding more from the other side, who he assumes no one listens to at all. I mean, most people don't, in America at least. Um, but he just assumes like no one fucking talks to Hamas, so they can just speak for them. It is, oh, they're not doing anything that we want. They're not even communicating. There's no one to communicate with. There's no land to own. Um, but they just it's just a land grab, and we know this. We've known this for so long. That's what's so difficult about everything tonight. Here, let me sum it up in 15 seconds. You guys ready? And then the show's over. We're done. All right.
Wrap it up.
Here it is. Project 2025 is here and it's happening, right? It's just Project 2025. And the other thing about Gaza, oh yeah, nothing's changed. It's just on steroids now, and they're gonna
Mm.
take it over. And then the West Bank, you can bet your bottom dollar on it. Have a good
They
night.
already are.
See you in a fortnight.
That's a wrap.
We're done. We did it.
Cut.
Stay humanist, for God's sake.
It's so I'm only laughing because I'll cry if I don't. It's absurd. It's abhorrent. It's
Is that not
vicious.
just the gist of it, though, Christy? Is that
Oh,
not just the
nailed
gist
it.
of it?
Yeah. They've been saying what they want to do, not just the, far right conservatives here, but the party that's in power in Israel for the past year and a half and more, but especially have been detailing not only what they were doing, but what they are doing and what they are planning on doing and speaking out loud about it. So we don't have to wonder, what are they thinking? What are their
No,
plans? We
they're
already
just
know.
trying to sugarcoat it.
Mm.
Like Trump especially is trying to sugarcoat it, right? He's trying to be like, hey, we got this brand new plan on Gaza, right? We're gonna find them all new homes. They're gonna be beautiful homes in
They're
another
stray
country. Not
dogs.
here, not here. We're not taking any immigrants except maybe some white South Africans. We want
Oh God,
them.
don't get me
Doors are
started on
wide
that
open for
story.
them, but we're not taking any immigrants. And Gazans are gonna find a home somewhere in the Middle East, and and they're gonna be able to live out their lives because everyone deserves to live out their beautiful lives, right? And but it just
And
can't
we
be in
will
Gaza.
cherish.
But they can come
Yeah, he
back to
said that
Gaza.
he will cherish the land. The whole world
Yeah.
will
Oh
cherish
yeah.
the
Yeah.
land.
They can come back to the land that we're gonna cherish and we're gonna own, but we're not gonna own it because there's nothing to own. I mean, because we're not gonna buy it, but we're gonna be in charge of it. Except the Israelis are really gonna watch over it for us. But we're gonna make it Gazalato, right? We're gonna make it Mar-a-Lago 2.0. It's gonna be
Oh,
beautiful, and maybe a few of them can come back to work. I said they can all come back, so of course a few of them can come back, maybe to work for the Israelis. I mean us, and oh, it's gonna be a great tourist attraction, so everyone can return home at their new
uh,
beautiful home somewhere else, right?
it's
It's he's just Trumpifying, trying to sugarcoat it.
yeah,
It's
like a
like,
snake oil salesman.
right, yeah. I mean, basically, he's just taking his dick. He's like spraying it down with water. He's rolling it in sugar and mushroom stamping you on the forehead and acting like it's a normal mushroom stamp.
Oh,
But no, it's the same mushroom stamps that that his friend Benjamin Netanyahu over here has been trying to stamp everyone with the last 15 months. It's the
right.
same mushroom stamp.
I
It's just
mean,
sugar coated. It's just a little more
Benjamin
gritty.
Netanyahu visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago before the election and before the inauguration. So nobody here arrested him, as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you would have to be uber naive to think that the whole ceasefire wasn't a political game. Trump needed to prove he would do that for all these people who decided not to vote for, Kamala, and all of us who know, we remember Trump's last 4 years. We remember who he was and what he did. And obviously, we knew, all of us knowing this ceasefire was a game. It wasn't real. It wasn't for real. It was to gain more political, power. Exactly what it is, because the minute the takeover happened, Trump's the first one to say, Hamas violated the ceasefire, which they didn't at all. I actually have um some good stats on what exactly happened. I think I put it on
Please
this one.
share. I
Yes.
want to know.
Yes.
I want to know right now, Christy.
They're doing it. You're cracking my wife up. That's how she talks to me. Aw. She said, I love you, Mac.
Love you too, Stacy.
All right. Israel's violation of humanitarian agreements in Gaza. They agreed upon 12,000 aid trucks. They got 8,500 aid trucks. They agreed upon 50 fuel trucks every single day. They've only gotten 15 fuel trucks, not 50, 15 fuel trucks per day. They were guaranteed and agreed upon on this, ceasefire deal, that they would be given 60,000 mobile homes. They've received zero, not one. They were also agreed upon was 200,000 tents in the meantime for the millions of people that live there. They've received 20,000. not 200,000 that was agreed upon before they did this. They
Okay,
both
now
put
hold on.
things.
Hold on.
Mhm.
Credit where credit's due. They did they did a tenth measure. They
Yeah.
don't always they don't always do that.
No, they don't.
That's progress.
Oh, it was a shortfall for the violations of this ceasefire deal that were not done by Hamas. The reason why Hamas said we're keeping the rest of these hostages because you have violated, and then here's what you violated: a shortfall of 3,500 aid trucks, a shortfall of 35 fuel trucks per day, a shortfall of 180,000 tents, and complete absence of mobile homes. They
Do
didn't
you have that
violate it.
do you have that written down on paper, Christy? Oh, okay. Can you send that to me?
Absolutely.
Gracias.
Absolutely. It's
Gracias.
I took a screenshot from Kyle Kalinski's live show when he was doing it because I knew
Oh,
that would
son of a
come in handy.
bitch. Was it today?
It was either today or tomorrow. It's kind of like all one day.
Well, it wouldn't be
I mean,
tomorrow
yesterday he said
yet.
it.
Jesus. If there was a
Only
if there's
Nacho lives
a
in
tomorrow
tomorrow, okay?
true, but if there was a tomorrow for Kyle show, I I'd always be ahead
It's too much.
because I was checking out Kyle's show before I came on here, but I only got the first two of today's.
Mm.
So show. Da, 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 da.
I sent it to you on Messenger right now.
Oh, is it the Unleash
This
Hell?
It's the
One?
screenshot. It's sending right now. It's the screenshot, but when we get done, I'll send you the
Mhm.
whole the clipped video that
Yeah.
came out of the whole live show. I think is like nine minutes, so you'll be able to consume that really fast. It's about the violations and the violating of the ceasefire, who did it, and what the plan was. He believes it was the same thing. Netanyahu came to visit Trump at Mar-a-Lago, like he's an international criminal, and obviously they sat down and planned it out. Obviously,
Yeah.
because as always, Noam Chomsky in the 90s, early 90s, is on record saying there will be a ceasefire between Gaza and Israel will violate it every single time so that they can keep the bombing because their
Yeah.
end plan is to take that land. It is not to be nice.
They have a greater plan.
Oh, my bad. For greater Israel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look, I know it's serious, but I'm gonna make a pun. I'm gonna make jokes all the time.
We need them. Listen, comedians, I say this to my wife all the time. Comedians are more important now than they've ever been. We're going to need them.
I'm
You
I am
need
thinking
them.
of the Watchmen comedian. That's not a good kind of comedian, but he is a
Okay.
comedian. He's the comedian. Anyways, you can move on with
You're
your.
so silly.
I want to talk about
Oh,
superhero shit.
I would rather as well. My
I'll
seriously.
I'll I'll bring more superhero. Oh, you know what? I've got one for you when you're done with this. When we
Okay.
get into when we get into the America portion, I'm gonna go fill up my America fuck yeah cup, and we gonna
Yeah,
go
we're
over
gonna
some.
gonna need it.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely gonna need it.
Okay, I'm
So,
shutting up. Go.
no, you're fine. Let's see. For the West Bank, I have this. It is mind blowing at at minimum. Like it is insane. United Nations says 40,000 people are displaced in the West Bank. 40,000 already, as Israel accused of readying annexation. Oh gosh. They state that Israeli offensive is aimed at preparing the infrastructure in the West Bank for U.S. backed land grabs. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has warned that the forcible expulsion of Palestinians in the occupied West Bank is escalating at an alarming pace, with Israel displacing 40,000 people in recent weeks. On the 21st of January, Israel launched a large scale assault on northern occupied West Bank, just days after the Gaza ceasefire had begun, with the world talking about other things. The military started in Jenin and its surrounding areas, killing 25 Palestinians, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. The offensive expanded to Tulkarm on the 27th of January, where 5 Palestinians were killed. On the 2nd of February, Israel launched another operation in Timon and the Farah camp. The Jenin is a refugee camp that's been around since, the Nakba or shortly thereafter. And over the years, it has, experienced more of a structure built onto it, a little bit stronger walls here, a little strong. It's gone through a lot, So Israel's trying to say it's not a refugee camp because people permanently live there. That's not how any of those words work. It just isn't. It is. They would rather be in their home areas. Yes, Mac.
Miss Christy, um, uh, can they, um, can they not be considered refugees,
Mm,
um, even if they never go home?
right. Good question, Mac. Yes.
Yeah,
They can't go home. They're
yeah,
stuck
yeah,
in refugee
yeah.
camps. Yes.
So if you're a refugee, like indefinitely, that's weird. Like you're just still a refugee, even if you've just been one for a long time.
Yep.
What if you stay in one place that's like a public place for a long period of time? Are you still considered like homeless?
I
Like if you stay at
mean,
like a community center or like a refugee camp or a
they
rec
are not
hall,
unhoused, but they are homeless in the sense of not being able to go to their homeland.
like because maybe like someone fucking stole it or something like that,
I
like
think
their
it's
land or their
something.
actual home.
Yeah, I think it's something like that, honestly.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. Just checking.
All right. Let's see. They launched the operation in Timon, is what I was saying. The Farah camp in Tabas, withdrawing from Timon a week after, but continuing its offensive on Farah. Or Fareh, I think that's how you say it. Israeli forces are particularly targeting refugee camps, including those in Jenin, Talkarm, and Tubas, putting an already vulnerable population at risk. UNRWA on Monday, this past Monday, said several refugee camps have been nearly or completely emptied out of their residents, adding that this is the longest campaign in the territory of West Bank since the 2000 to 2005 Second Intifada. Jenin Camp stands empty today, completely empty, evoking memories of the Second Intifada. This scene stands to be repeated in other camps, UNRWA said. According to the UN agency, more than 60% of the displacement of Palestinians recorded in the West Bank last year was due to Israeli military operations. Repeated and destructive operations have rendered the northern refugee camps uninhabitable, trapping residents in a cyclone displacement. So displacement, displacement, displacement. Jenin camp stands empty. Just that sentence alone is heart wrenching. Jamal Jume, head of the Stop the Wall campaign, an organization that fights against apartheid, told the Middle East Eye that the Israeli offensive is, quote, clearly aiming to prepare the infrastructure for the annexation of land. Annexation of occupied territory is illegal under international law. The Israeli government prefers to term it as, quote, applying sovereignty, end quote. Though that makes little difference legally, you can call it whatever you want. Tomato, it still makes it illegal. Legality hasn't stopped Israel ever from annexation before. Since the 1967 Middle East War, Israel has annexed occupied East Jerusalem and the Syrian Golan Heights and moves never recognized by the international community. All of it was illegal and still is. Jemay indicated that such an acceleration in land seizures is Israel's attempt at gaining U.S. President Donald Trump's approval for it claiming sovereignty over the territory in spite of international law and Palestinian rights. This next part, attacking Palestinian resistance, is also very informative. Palestinian armed resistance has been growing in the northern West Bank in recent years. I mean, why wouldn't it? It only makes sense. Jemay said that Israel's targeting of refugee camps is done because they are believed to be the, quote, source of resistance. Quote, such a military operation reminds me of the 2002 mass invasion of the West Bank, he recalls. He believes Israel's current operation is the second stage of a plan begun when it built the, quote, apartheid wall, as he characterizes the separation barrier built between Israeli communities and Palestinians in the West Bank. Quote, they finished building the system. Now they want to implement the annexation of West Bank and cement the apartheid system they have been creating. Besides eliminating armed resistance, he says that Israel's focus on camps is also aimed at getting rid of the refugee problem, which he suggested is similar to events in Gaza. Around 750,000 Palestinians were forced from their homes by Zionist militias during the 1948 Nakba that created Israel. Today, their descendants make up the 7 million Palestinian refugees worldwide. About 1 million of those live in the West Bank, around a quarter of which live in 19 refugee camps. So it goes on, just this last part, I feel like we'll end it with this last part. It is a longer article. I will post it in our chat as soon as I read this next part. During Trump's 2017 to 2021 term as president, Israel seemed primed to announce it was annexing Area C, the part of the West Bank fully controlled by the Israeli military. Though this has not come to fruition, the U.S. president has recently called for the Palestinians of Gaza to be permanently expelled and hinted that the West Bank should become part of Israel. Quote, they want to get rid of the refugee issue as it's the evidence of their big, massive crime of genocide that they did to these people in 1948. He goes on to say, noting Israel's recent banning of UNRWA and large-scale destruction and emptying of camps is proof. In late January, so a couple weeks ago, the Israeli ban on UNRWA operating in Israel and the occupied Palestinian areas came into effect. So they have no UNRWA, which was created by the UN specifically for Palestinians because the Nakba had happened to them. The agency warned that the ban has made it impossible to raise concerns about civilian suffering or the urgent need for the delivery of humanitarian assistance, saying that this puts at grave risk the lives of Palestinian refugees and the UNRWA staff that serve them. The UN agency provides aid, health, and education services to millions of people in occupied Palestine, as well as the millions of Palestinians living in refugee camps in the neighboring countries of Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. Israel's far-right government, which is supported by a big portion of the Israeli society, believes now is the perfect time to target the refugee issue or refugee problem, as it has the support of the United States. He added that Israel's war on Gaza, which has killed a minimum of like 60,000, I believe it's like 200,000 or more, proves that Israelis would have immunity and support from the US and Europe to carry out these wishes. I just, it's, that's
Yeah.
where we are.
I would like to just add on to that number you threw out that our guess was 250,000 back in like
Mhm.
December.
Absolutely.
My new guess is somewhere, and I'm trying to kind of lowball it, between 4 and 500,000. That's my lowball guess right now.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the death and destruction of the time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 800,000. I would not be surprised. I had said a month ago, I hope I'm not, but I would not be surprised if I'm reporting to you in mid-February, which is just about today, that it's a million dead. Um,
Right.
we don't know, right? That's almost irresponsible of me to say, but it's also in the realm of possibility because we said that the Gazans were starving, pulling up weeds and eating those
Yep.
back in July.
Mm. Yeah, eating animal feed.
That was before July.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
yeah,
just
like it's been desperate for over 6 months, and they're in the cold season, y'all.
unacceptable.
It's yeah, it's not good. Like this is something that I again I talked about a little earlier today to a young person who was interested in the conflict, if we want to call it that. They were just looking for some straight dope, and they had a lot of really, really good questions. It was very heartening to know that a younger individual cares about this topic. But it's so hard to downplay any of it. And I told them and a parent to like check anything you want. You'll find things that conflict with what I say. That's absolutely fine. One of the things that you will find that conflicts with the things that I'm telling you today is the death count. You'll probably find that like 40 some thousand one still around. But
Yeah.
that was so in May, I'm pretty sure. And since then, most everyone who count the dead has died. And we
Yeah.
can't assume that no one has died since May.
Right.
That's just utterly like a ridiculous thought, right? So you
Right.
have to start multiplying at some point in time. And like most things in physics, you get an exponential growth when
Right.
shit gets bad, like with climate change or space um, expanding, right? Like shit happens faster,
Right.
and death is no exception, right?
Mhm.
It just follows along with that suit.
Right.
Especially in any kind of extinction process, right?
Well, yeah,
And
not just that, all
you
the
got,
people that know, all the doctors who study this type of tragedy all said like a month into it, 2 months into it, 5 months into it, like in a month into it, they said if they stop now, the deaths will still happen. 2 months into it,
yeah,
they said the
yeah,
same thing. At 5 months, they said it's so far into it, if we stop now, it's going to be another year and a half of death. At a year, they said even if we stopped today, it was over. We're going to see another 2 years of people dying from, I
mal
mean,
malnutrition,
yeah,
from
water, dirty
disease.
water,
Yeah, dirty
disease,
water, dirty air, dirty
an
every like we
an
can't.
earache with no doctors will kill you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfathomable. Like we can imagine all we want. I'm sure even the doctors who are there dealing with this on a daily basis only have a glimpse because they're
Hmm.
individuals. Like
Right.
there's more death and destruction than each individual one is seeing and talking about.
Hmm.
It's worse than anyone can really fathom. It
I mean,
is,
the doctors that come back can't even really speak about it because they break down in tears. It's so traumatic.
yeah.
Yet they go back.
Um,
They go back because someone has to.
yeah. They said I've worked um well for like with for Doctors Without Borders in different conflict areas for 20 years, and the worst of what I've seen is my first week in Gaza.
Yeah, I
That's
remember that.
that's I mean my whole 20 years matches up to that one first week in Gaza. The death and destruction, the mayhem and the madness. And I've heard multiple doctors say something along those lines. That's devastating. It's sickening. And it's another reason why we cover this almost every fucking show, right? One, this is probably the most important happening of our time, of our lifetime,
This
right?
this and Sudan right now. I mean
Mm.
Ukraine too, but that's a different
I don't
it's
even have
just
my
a
finger on the
different
pulse of Sudan.
Sudan is a genocide where millions, actually more millions, have been kicked out of their homes and homeless in fields than Gaza. It is devastating. Right.
Yeah. And but what
Women are getting like women are afraid to go anywhere without being in a group of, 50 or more. 20 is not acceptable. They'll pull over with a whole bunch of cars and take all 20 of them up. They'll be sex slaves and they'll never get out of it. It is terrifying. Yeah.
and one of the questions I was asked is like, does our country not care?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I kind of had to shrug my shoulders and be like, I mean, kind of like it's kind of the way of the world. Like, I have more examples.
Real quick,
Venezuela, Saudi
Smitty, would
Arabia,
you like me to cover that? Because I can do that on our next show.
Sudan,
If
please.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It is
Yeah, me and Smitty say yes.
okay. Definitely.
Who's
I think
genociding whom?
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
very
don't.
important.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's stay on it, guys. We just need to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
It it felt really nice today when I was uh asked questions about Gaza, one after another. They were really good, genuine questions.
Right.
It felt so nice to answer questions for someone.
I love that.
Um, like you get like keep up on it because you want to have those answers, right?
Yeah.
That's our job, right? That's
Right.
this group's job
Right.
is to
I
answer
like
questions like that.
that they were curious enough to ask genuine questions and not just double down on things that they think they know about it.
They
That's
chose
good.
they chose the topic.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone needs to know what's being funded by your own tax dollars.
yeah. It was it was pretty great. I'm like, whew, you asked the right person. I am happy to be here.
You're like,
I got this.
I got this. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Um, yeah. Okay. Um, are we good on the Gaza update?
Smitty would like an episode about different flavors of ice cream. My wife agreed.
I remember Larry the Cable Guy
Oh man.
making
Oh,
making a joke
forgot about him.
about Baskin Robbins 32 flavors
I think I remember that.
and how Britney Spears is or should be one of the 32 flavors.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
Oh God.
we'll lead it with that. All right. Nacho.
Oh.
Before we need to start worrying about. The
Yeah,
asteroid bubble.
there's an asteroid. Yeah, it's that would be something that would be good to cover too. It wouldn't be a long story. We could do it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
But
it's
also,
fine. Like if it would come like directly at us, I'm pretty
well,
sure at least
they think it's
America.
going to hit either India, I think India, um there's
Oh,
somewhere Central America, and another place, but they're so far apart. I'm like, who are there three different people who don't understand the math of it? Because I don't understand what's happening. But
yeah,
also, there's a lot of things that can, change where it
change the
lands. However,
trajectory.
it's on a trajectory, so we have literal rocket scientists that's what they do. They find out what you
Yeah,
need to do to get. So, yeah, but as of right now. Yeah, because it's not going to hit the United States. The thinking in the White House right now is why would we even bother doing anything to deflect it and that's
yeah.
just horrible.
Have someone else do it. Have India do it.
Oh, it's not going to
Um,
hurt us. So,
look, I mean,
yeah, we can be done
if
with
it
it.
was coming at America, I feel like our country would just look up and be like, "Not if we get us first, bitches."
Yeah. I there is more than just a little talk of China working with a couple other countries and just communications of when we nail down where it's coming, we can help deflect it on their
Oh yeah,
own. No, yeah,
yeah.
because they
Well,
can.
yeah,
Right.
whatever.
I think everyone needs to start learning Mandarin because
It's not a bad. I'm working on Japanese right now, so I'm busy.
but Japanese is so sexy though. Like it's out of all the different, many different Asian languages, to me, it's the prettiest as far as the way that it sounds. Like I don't have to know any of the
Konnichiwa.
words. Yeah, it just is the prettiest out of all of them. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I'm
Mm,
enjoying it so far. I know it's just super basics, but it's okay.
yeah. I think
Um,
Vietnamese is probably makes me giggle the most.
yeah, I was gonna say that one sounds too funny.
Yeah, well, Casey went to high school. We had a really good friend.
Mhm.
He still lives in Tampa, and he's born in Vietnam, grew up in Tampa, went to high school with Steve, like I said. But, his mom speaks Vietnamese, his ex-wife in Vietnam, his kid, everyone. So he'd be on the phone all the time, and it just would have me giggling because it was just so fluent, and he would talk to
Yeah,
us with no accent whatsoever, and then go right into it. And I'm just like, I can't. How's your tongue do that? So
right.
yeah,
The
it just does.
workout.
All right, we can put Gaza in the drawer
We will
and
revisit
close
Gaza
close the
another
drawer
day.
for right now.
Close the drawer.
We can talk
Yep.
about America.
Fuck yeah.
The Gulf of America.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything to lead with on this?
I I do have a couple things. The state of America, I did want to say, uh, as
I'm gonna
far
grab
as
a drink
yeah, yeah, go do
real
that.
quick. I need a drink for America.
Yeah, you do.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
you
I'll be right
do.
back, y'all.
All right. So, as far as the state of America, I do want to state that it isn't a shitty state. They the amount of organizations and programs that are just don't know where they stand. They've had all funding cut off. The protection agencies, the main one that's for financial protections that was put in because there weren't protections, and then we had the housing crisis because there weren't protections and people could gamble with regular working people's money and give off or give out these mortgages that, someone that is there's nothing wrong with working at, a Home Depot I have or a fast food I have. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the salary you're going to bring home is not going to afford you, a $400,000 house. It can't unless a family owns it and is letting you pay it off. Like that, you just can't get a mortgage for that. And they were everywhere in this country. And the gambling that was happening with people's savings, with people's retirements was insane. So the agency that was, put together to make sure that never happened again was put together by Elizabeth Warren and Obama and a whole bunch of minds who wanted to make sure that, as imperfect as these people may be in your eyes or aren't, it doesn't matter. Their genuine reasoning was sound and just and the right thing to do. And those doors have been closed. The Protection Bureau and Elizabeth Warren has actually been outside. Yeah, America, fuck yeah. Has been outside those closed doors holding rallies every day because it's illegal to do that. Also, not just organizations and departments and programs have been shut down. Communications for our CDC, for our health, has been completely blacked out. I do want to say there is, do I want to start right here? Okay. Kansas is experiencing one of the largest tuberculosis outbreaks ever recorded in the United States, as public health powers at the state and federal level have been greatly curtailed. Outbreaks like these may become more and more common and dangerous as officials' efforts are hamstrung and their communications are limited, experts say. Quote, you can think of TB outbreaks like a canary in the coal mine of our public health infrastructure, end quote, said David Dowdy, professor of epidemiology at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. What
Sounds like
causes
some
them?
kid in his basement.
Yeah, just some 19-year-old tech bro.
Yeah, probably
Ah,
his mom's basement.
we'll get to that. But what causes them to happen is the weakening of our public health infrastructure. Since January of 2024, so a year and a couple weeks ago, there have been 67 active cases of tuberculosis identified in 2 counties in Kansas, more than the usual case count for the entire state in a year, despite the counties together representing less than 3% of the state's population, according to the US Census data from 2023. It's definitely more than just a little blip, said Dr. Dowdy. It's one of the largest outbreaks of tuberculosis that we've seen in the country in the past 50 years. The state has also detected at least 79 latent cases of tuberculosis in which patients do not display any active symptoms but may develop and spread this active disease later. So the state is currently monitoring, listen to this, 384 people who are undergoing testing and treatment for tuberculosis in 2025. Public health officials in Kansas and from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, are working together to mitigate the risk of TB in the community and ensure the safety of all individuals. The communications director for Kansas Department of Health and Environment said in a statement, but the risk to general public remains low, she promises. We are also
Hmm.
working with schools and businesses to help prevent the spread of tuberculosis by supporting efforts to monitor symptoms and provide education. But it's not enough. It is an uphill battle in a state that has seen public health powers sharply reduced in the wake of the pandemic. The Kansas governor was banned from closing down businesses during public health emergencies in 2021, and the legislature forbade state and county public health officials from mandating tests, from isolation, from social distancing, and closures due to the infectious disease. Tuberculosis tends to spread when people spend a lot of time in crowded conditions, such as prisons, jails, and shelters. These are also places where people frequently lack access to adequate health care, which can make infections more likely. Other factors, such as malnutrition, HIV, AIDS, and other immune suppressing conditions, put people at greater risk of getting sick. Um, where's the. But what really causes tuberculosis outbreaks in is the inability for public health professionals to respond. It's not that we don't know how to do it, Dr. Dowdy said, of treating tuberculosis patients and keeping the bacteria from spreading. It's about the conditions underlying this that enable these outbreaks to unfold. When there is a way to detect the first cases and there are enough health workers to trace and test contacts to ask them who they've been around, let's contact them, let's get them tested. And then to support the patients who test positive, outbreaks can be stopped before they even start. But when the but when the systems are incomplete or dismantled, and there are not enough health workers or resources to go around, it's easier for these sort of things to go undetected for a longer period of time. Then you have a crisis. These people in Kansas are doing a good job with this, he says. They just don't have the resources they need. The national level, at the national level, the Trump administration has limited what the CDC and other federal health agencies can do, instituting a communications blackout in the first weeks. So, Kansas, and this part of Kansas, can't just go online and say, we've had a couple people show up with this, and then doctors who get some symptoms are like, oh, we're the next county over. It might be this. They don't, that's gone. Then other states also can't log on and say, oh, we're getting a couple, oh, Kansas is having it. Let's shut this down. Let's get none of that. It's gone. There's no communication like that right now. It's gone. That page doesn't exist. Um, yeah. It is crazy. Let's see. When this
Well, hold
oh
on.
the,
I just got a
okay, I
piece
got
of really important news.
it.
Um, um, Vaccines cause tuberculosis.
Yeah, they do. The ban on external communications include withholding the release of morbidity and mortality weekly report. Also, a uh, uh, highly regarded epidemiologist digest that updates the public and medical practitioners on emerging and continuing outbreaks among other cities and across the country. That's gone. On Friday, hundreds of pages were also removed from health agency websites to comply with Donald Trump's executive order to remove any references whatsoever to race, gender, sexual identity, and disability, among other identities. Some of those pages have now been restored, sometimes with edits and omissions because of the order. So outbreaks such as this Kansas city tuberculosis outbreak speak to the importance of coordination between states and national entities like the CDC. One can only see these sorts of events when you can look from a big picture perspective, and that's what our national agencies are there for. But we can only respond to them at a local level right now, which is what our state and local health agencies are there for. The importance of being able to coordinate between those and maintaining strength at both the national and state levels and local levels really can't be overstated. Disruption to those systems of communication certainly increase the risk of outbreaks like this occurring. It definitely goes on. And then there's another one. Measles outbreak is growing in rural areas of West Texas, where vaccination rates are well below, anywhere between 13 and 19% of the population is vaccinated for measles. That's insane. In late January, two children in Gaines County were hospitalized for measles on Wednesday. The state health department shared a health alert that the number of confirmed cases had grown to 6. As of Friday afternoon, the outbreak has jumped to 14 confirmed cases and 6 probable cases among people who are symptomatic and had close interactions with the infected individuals. These cases have been identified in part of the region that are outside the Gaines County lines where the first cases were reported. All of these cases are believed to be among people who are not vaccinated. Let's that I could end it right there. Enough said. Yeah, it's a record share of US kindergartners had an exemption for required vaccination last school year, leaving more than 125,000 new school children without coverage for at least one state mandated vaccine, according to data published at the US Center for Disease and Control, which has now been removed. I just, right. Mm,
Slow
mm, mm,
clap.
mm, mm, mm,
Or
mm.
that's
Oh,
fun.
I found out that anti-vaxxers, when you and I, or our community talks about herd immunity, we understand what that means, the scientific definition of it, the importance of it. But anti-vaxxers, they believe herd immunity is a completely different explanation, definition. To them, if your kid hasn't had measles and you're not going to vaccinate them, and someone in your community gets it, you take your kid to that house, like, then so that they can get herd immunity. And it's, I'm, it makes me so sad that my fellow human beings live in the same country with the same amount of access to all the information in the world in our hands on the phone and still do not, they bypass the actual definitions and meaning to go to something that confirms their own biases. It's like
Yeah.
we live in a logical fallacy with a whole bunch of logical fallacies running around. Yeah, so the state of our union as far as eliminating all these things has already in just a couple weeks caused so much
That's just
problem.
on one front.
Right. That's just deleting communications,
Yeah.
And of course, it has to do with anti-vaxxers and people not educated or having the means to get to a doctor. There's a lot going into that. But also, the people who run that agency would have been able to pick up on the first couple and then educate everyone else so that they could be real careful. And that's gone. So we're going to get a lot more of this. I do believe that this administration's plan is to do the opposite of what happened with COVID. Not that they weren't trying to do it. They were trying to be like, it's nothing, it'll go away. The sun will kill it. We'll just put some bleach in our arms. It's fine. Everything's fine. But they couldn't get away with it because we had guardrails. We had people that are experts in epidemiology going, no, no. And if
You can't
people
do that.
are being, the question Trump and Elon are asking people that want to work for him are qualifiers if they get the job. One is, who were the heroes on January 6th? Another one is, was the 2020 election stolen? If you answer no to those, you don't get the job. So we're getting completely underqualified, if qualified at all, people who are now sycophants, who are there to, be loyal to a one person, not their country. And
Yeah.
yeah, I see a lot of similarities between this and how in 56 days Hitler was able to dismantle democracy in his own country. Hopefully, we're
Yeah.
stronger than that.
I think they're going for the record. They pretty much
Yeah.
have the media, and
Mm.
they have more or less a Department of Faith.
Oh, I
Just a
know. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's
There's so many fronts to talk about, and Christy, that was a great one. I was not going to cover that, but I'm really glad you did. Um, that was nice. You said Kansas, right?
Kansas and West Texas.
Right.
West Texas is the measles and Kansas is the tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Yeah. I
That's
listened to that one
it's
today.
insane.
Yeah. Um, so we also have this deal with Doge, right?
Yeah.
Which comes from some kind of dog meme. I don't keep up on memes.
Okay, it's
I'm in
a coin. It's called the Doge coin. It's been
yeah,
around for, tech bros and crypto bros. They think it was real, like he named it Doge, but the rest of the world that doesn't pay attention to crypto are like, "What?
yeah.
What?"
Because I don't pay
Yeah.
attention to crypto. Um,
Mm.
yeah, when I saw Jimmy Dore getting into Bitcoin, I was like, oh, I think I've lost even more faith in both.
I mean, the
Um,
president right now did a whole crypto coin scam on his own
shitcoin scheme.
supporters.
Yep.
Yes, on his
2
own
days
supporters.
before the inauguration. two
Yep,
days before.
it sure
And he
was.
made over $10 billion on that.
Yes, listen, one guy put in, there were a couple, they're called whales, like big investors. Like if Elon, put in 300 million and Peter
Yeah.
Thiel put in 200 million. Those are called whales in the crypto.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were like just a handful of whales. That's what it's propped up by. And I don't know if you watch Crystal Kyle and Friends like I do, but Crystal had a
Yeah.
great theory on this. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
it only makes sense that
Right.
these crypto the or Peter Thiel, these robber barons, for a lack of
Elon
anything better to
Musk. Like,
qualify,
yeah.
yeah, Elon Musk, they said, "Do you want to be rich like us, Trump?" Because he's not. He's rich compared to all normal people, definitely, but he's not the wealthiest man in the world. And he's not a billionaire, And Crystal believes her theory is that they brought him in and said, "You want to be rich like us because we can set you up with your own coin, and it'll be a pump and dump like Cash Cattell." That's how he made his money. That's why
Yeah.
he is a billionaire, because this is the
Yeah.
kind of scams he does. So they sat him down and said, if you want to be wealthy like us, we will make it happen. You just have to let us then run the government. And
Right.
Trump doesn't share the spotlight with someone. Anyone else that would be standing over him and annoying him, they would have already broke up. But
Right.
not if this kind of deal was made first. Now, this is all
Yeah.
speculative. We don't know this, but Crystal isn't a hyperbolic person.
She's
She's
not.
no. So I listened to it, and actually when she said it, I was like, that's why he hasn't broke up with Elon. I don't know it,
Yeah.
but mm,
Again, yeah. And
mm.
I heard that too, and I'm a little skeptical.
Of course.
But not much. Like I'm skeptical
Right.
on the details, is what it is. Like, but
It
the gist
explains
of it,
so much though.
yeah. But I kind of already like again, like we kind of already thought something like
Yeah.
that because
Right. Right.
we
Right.
know that Jeff Bezos gave Trump $100 million
Mm-hmm.
to help at his inauguration.
Right.
Um, and um, Elon Musk what spent $250 million
Yep.
getting Trump elected,
Mm-hmm. He bought
right?
it. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So we already know that he's friends with these people because they have deep pockets. And
Right.
he wants to be one of those cool kids too. He always wanted to be one of those cool kids,
Always.
like back in the 70s and 80s, and he was just a dumb fuck up who kept uh losing
Losing
at
his
his
daddy's
scams but
money.
not going to jail for it.
Mhm.
So much of this illegal and so much of it isn't because we have legal bribery in this country.
It is
It's just what
definitely
it is.
true.
But so we have this stupid Doge thing, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they're going around to the Treasury and Um, the they're not at the NLRB yet, are they? Or did they already hit that? I know they were talking about
I
it.
believe they did, and I have a what the
They're trying to
judge
kill
said
that.
about it. Well, I have the
Okay.
judge that I have his whatever it's called.
Okay.
His reply. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then uh, Elizabeth Warren's thing, the Consumer Financial Protection
Yes.
Bureau.
Yes.
Um, they've dismantled a lot of that. They've
Dang
gotten rid
it.
of too much. They're just trying
Yeah.
to axe everything. Uh, the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau. I always forget the thing. So I just gotta say the whole thing. I always forget the abbreviation. um, um, they were already or so what they do is they're the fraud police for any financial institutions. If the financial institutions are committing fraud, like promising a service that you're paying for that they're not actually supplying the service for, they will refund you that money, right? Or if they're doing anything fraudulent, right? That's that whole agency's thing. Um, Now, Elon Musk wants to make X an everything app
Hmm.
and let there be financial transactions
Oh
going
yeah. He
on
wants to be
X.
a bank,
Yeah.
essentially.
So he lets that become a known thing right after he destroys the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Um,
Yep.
just showing his fucking cars. And some of these other agencies are investigating them. What, there's 11
Nine.
investigation? Nine, my bad.
Nine
9/11?
agencies were investigating him. Those nine were like day one and day two eliminated.
Yeah.
Now, they're not allowed to be. That's not how
No,
our
it's
government
illegal.
works. Yeah, if
Yeah.
Congress, the Senate, the House, they vote on something and then our president, doesn't matter who it is, signs it, then it goes back to Congress, the power of the purse, to then fund it. If you don't like that, you have to either wait till that policy is up, if it has sundown,
Yeah.
or then you start campaigning because you want to change the law. You cannot then say the last president did this and I don't like it. I mean, you can say that, of course, you can even feel that, but you can't stop it. That's not how the government works. You have to, per our federal laws, you have to, that money is allotted for that. It is, that's what it's for. I sent you today the farmers thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another, farmers they fucked around and found out. They don't, there's so many people in this country that are against handouts, welfare queens, giving pull yourself up by the bootstraps. They don't think of you as a fellow human who's hungry and hunger will kill you. They don't think that. So they want to get rid of those things, not knowing that the way these bills, these policies were set up in this country and many others is the surplus from farms, the milk, the cheese, the beans, the peanut butter, these staples of, a young kid, like the WIC program, which is milk and cheese and beans and cereal. Most of these things you have to cook. Like the cereal is oatmeal. It's like the thing of oats. You can't get instant. These are all already paid for by our government to go to these people. The money that the government pays to the farmers is a subsidy because they don't think that you should have to get rid of these things that you toiled over, that you worked on, that you grew to feed someone over here, you should be paid for that. So
Mhm.
let's give you that money. We'll take that food that is the surplus and then feed these hungry people, whether it's in other parts of the world or here. These are agricultural subsidies. So if you want to axe them, get rid of them, those subsidies that go to the farmers are gone. They fucked themselves. Yes, Mac.
They did. And I just want to make the point, make it clear that here on this channel, I think we both look at it this way. From a humanist perspective, it's like we want subsidies to go to farmers.
Mm-hmm.
We want subsidies to go to doctors. We want subsidies to go to things, services, and materials, goods that are necessary for life, right? Like healthcare, like food, um, housing, at least to a certain extent, right? We like as a humanist, we want people to have a roof over their head. We want people to have food. And if we're not going to give everyone food for free, we want to at least subsidize the people who make our food, like the healthy. Like we don't want to give subsidies to Little Debbie, but we do want to give subsidies to the farmers.
Well,
Absolutely,
listen, the
it is
reason why
super
Little
important.
Debbie is a part of that, I know there are a lot of, especially from the Reagan era, they're
Mhm.
getting ho-hos and ding-dongs and steaks, and these are all agricultural. How are ho-hos agricultural, you might ask? Corn syrup is grown in Iowa and Illinois and Indiana, Wisconsin, and it is one of the biggest things that is subsidized in this country. You'll see
Mhm.
those trains going by with huge, tanks of corn syrup. Well,
Sure.
corn syrup is what makes those, you know, snack cakes. It just is. So corn syrup is also subsidized by our government. That's why you
Yeah.
can't get it with WIC. But if you have food assistance, you it's
Yeah.
okay to
Eh,
get that, It's just
Yeah.
when you have an 8-year-old packing his lunch for school, it can't just be, yeah, they've got to have something. It doesn't have to be
I
every
know.
day, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's good.
They, they need a little something, something. So I don't want to go deep into this, but still feel free to reply. Like I don't want
Right, right, right.
to cut off your response. I just want to make you know this isn't one of the topics tonight, but we can get into it sometime. Um, I feel like I have a fairly decent plan for EBT for like food stamps and such in this country, and it's better than the shit we have now. One, again, I think we should subsidize farmers, right? We should subsidize the people who make corn syrup, right, for all of our foods. But then when it comes to giving a like, I kind of look at like the EBT, like Andrew Yang's um, um, universal basic income (UBI). Like everyone should get like maybe a food card every single month. Like, can
Hmm.
you imagine how much
Oh,
that would
that would
change
be
everyone's life
wonderful.
in this country
That would be
if
wonderful.
every family of four will say just got a $1,000 food card, right? And now you can get you can get um steak,
Of
you can
course.
get apples, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get fucking lobster, right? Things with like nutrition, but it's not going to work on your Pepsi. It's not going to work on
No,
your
no, I
Twinkies.
know, but
No
for
Pepsi.
soda, I
Pepsi.
agree. However,
Mhm.
corn syrup is subsidized in this country, so that's why if you know anything about EBT and what it will cover, how it
Mhm.
changes throughout the years, it changes with who needs the subsidies. And corn syrup right now is the god. That's why you can get soda from it. It is not for any other reason but to then give subsidies to the corn syrup farmers. So it's
So
all connected.
why can't we just like give those farmers the subsidies like
We
directly?
are. That's what it's for. The
That
farmers get the
that's
subsidies.
how we fund it, you mean?
That's how we fund the subsidies.
Okay.
By the government says these people need food. They qualify for help. Let me
Yes.
subsidize this farmer and this farmer and this farmer, and their surplus will help feed these. And that surplus is what goes on the list of things that they can get.
Okay.
Right. So food stamps are directly connected with agricultural subsidies. And if you want more information on that, I have a great breakdown of someone who works in agriculture and grows their own farm and grew up on a farm in Iowa. They know
Mhm.
this very well and
You're
is
an Iowa
very
girl.
enlightening. Hey, I was born in Iowa, so
That's what I said. You're an Iowa girl.
yeah, yeah, I
I
get
remember.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Moo.
Mhm. Yeah. So I just feel like there got to be a better, because I don't want that money going, like our government funded food money going to, in any way, big companies like Pepsi and Little Debbie and things
Right.
like that. Or I mean, not
Yeah,
even
it
just
doesn't
big
go to
companies.
them. It goes to the
Yeah,
farmers.
you're right. Right.
Right.
And that's what I would want.
Soy,
Um,
soy farmers are subsidized so high because of baby formula.
that makes sense.
Connected. That baby
Yeah.
formula is not
Yeah.
a give out, it's a subsidy for the farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
by
yeah,
cutting
I
these
just
programs, there are no more subsidies for farmers. And this is the plan that these big,
mm,
huge farms now can come in and buy up this area because these people can't, they don't have any income coming in. There's no more subsidies. There are hundreds of small farmers on YouTube right now begging their communities to please help me. That
yeah.
their
And
$80,000 subsidy that they should have gotten on January 15th isn't coming and they needed it.
yeah. So again, like the way we do shit is insane. It's very Reaganomic. Um, we want to do this trickle down economic thing,
Yeah.
or at least the Republicans do, and the feckless Democrats. Um, like we'll give money to like these private corporations or these banks, like in 2008, and say, hey, here's all this money. Now help your customers or help the people who are depending on you. They're like, cool, we'll buy our stocks back. and and it's fucking ludicrous. When again, what Donald Trump did during COVID-19, he cut everyone a check and put his fucking name on it. And then Joe Biden did that again. Right? That was good. That was fucking helpful. That changed so many people's lives. Um, do that. Don't give money to the banks. Don't give subsidies to snack industries, especially when we have an obesity like epidemic
Yeah.
in this country, right?
Yeah, snack industries do not get subsidies. They
No,
don't.
right?
Not this.
That's what,
They might get subsidies, but not from this. If it's
right,
food
not
stamps
from
or
this.
WIC, it is directly connected to agriculture subsidies for the
That's
basic
that's
things.
acceptable,
I
right?
agree.
That's acceptable. It's just yeah, I because I know there's a stigma of people using their EBT cards, right, on Mountain Dew and Little Debbie's. It's part of I work at a grocery store. I see it, and part of it's because like they're easy. You can just eat it. You don't have to cook it. Like people are lazy. Um, I just don't want to fund that because it hurts the program. It's a good program. We want people to eat food
Right.
that is either cheaper or free, and we need to subsidize that. But we need to only subsidize the the better eating habits.
Right.
I don't want to just dictate, but again, you make other money, right? You
Hmm.
can spend your other money on on snack cakes, on
If
soda,
there's no
on this
corn
and that.
syrup in it, it's not going to be able to be bought by your EBT card. I don't like corn syrup. I don't think it should be in our food. It's not good for you. However, we have an entire farm industry that has not gotten ready to get out of that because there is billions in it. Why would they? So the way a capitalist government works is, so I might not agree with, corn syrup in everything or want to buy things whether I had food assistance or my own money with, gobs of corn syrup in it. I don't. I don't like that. However,
Yeah.
you know, uh, we have to change people's knowledge on those type of things. If there wasn't a market for corn syrup based foods, they wouldn't be getting subsidized because it wouldn't be getting sold. So,
Heat
yes.
shield,
Yeah, I
we
know. I'm
found
so
out.
excited. I was like,
Yes. But he found out I'm not a real human.
oh, well.
I've
Well,
got Mork behind me. What
yeah.
was your first clue? Again, I work at a grocery store. We just call that the snack cake section. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The robot food clerk over here. All right. So
I did
moving
want to
along.
read
Yeah.
what the judge had to say
Yeah, go for
on
it.
this,
You
on
do
him
that.
shutting down all the stuff for us. Says it has become ever more apparent that to our president, the rule of law is but an impediment to his policy goals. The rule of law is, according to him, something to navigate around or simply ignore, whether that be for political or personal gain. Nevertheless, in this courtroom and under my watch, this is a Reagan judge, by the way. Just put that out there so there is hope. Nevertheless, in this courtroom and under my watch, the rule of law is a bright beacon which I intend to follow. He goes on. I said this 2 weeks ago, and I'll say it again today. There are moments in the world's history when people look back and ask, where were the lawyers? Where were the judges? In these moments, the rule of law becomes especially vulnerable. I refuse to let that beacon go dark today. As a judge, my job is not only to uphold the law, but to protect the rule of law itself. Birthright citizenship is a fundamental constitutional right. The 14th Amendment secures the blessing of liberty to our posterity by bestowing on all those born in these great United States and subject to its jurisdiction the rights of citizenship. We are all citizens subject to the rule of law. No amount of policy debate can change that. And the fact that the government has cloaked what is effectively a constitutional amendment under the guise of an executive order is equally unconstitutional. The Constitution is not something with which the government may play policy games. If the government wants to change the exceptional American grant of birthright citizenship, it then needs to amend the Constitution. It's that that's how our Constitution works. And that's how the rule of law works. Because the president's order attempts to circumscribe this process entirely. It is clearly unconstitutional. The preliminary injunction is granted on a nationwide basis. Like he is not playing when it comes to these executive orders that, like he said, it's guised as it's just a policy. We're just changing the policy. Our Constitution has it as part of our Constitution. In order to change any amendment, any part of the Constitution, you have to then hold a constitutional convention, which takes about 18 months to 2.5 years to even get to the convention. That's not when anything changes. That's when you get together and decide what you want to change. And then you have to campaign for it. Like, I don't, these are the laws. If you don't like them, then campaign to change the laws. And I love that it was a Reagan judge because in my mind, Reagan ruined everything. Like
Yeah.
Alicia Miller, a favorite YouTube channel, her entire t-shirt line is Reagan ruined everything. And even she
Yeah.
said about this that coming from me, this is gonna sound crazy, she says, because she hates all of the policies from that time. Welfare Queen, that entire like name, that title came from him. She said, as of right now, with our constitutional crisis, going back to Reagan would be a blessing. He gave amnesty
Yeah,
to,
Jesus.
thousands of people. There are so many things I don't like, and I could go into them that are abhorrent. But also where we're at right now makes him look better. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
Exactly. Yeah, that's, I mean, I was gonna say something like that, but I mean, you just said it. But I had to make that, I had to use Reagan as an example of how bad Trump is today by saying he did pick up the phone and tell Israel to stop committing a genocide. And they fucking did the next day. And then George H.W. Bush did the same fucking thing.
Yes, they did.
Those were Republican presidents who were fucking awful.
Reagan told it was Netanyahu and others that were active in the government then. He wasn't the leader, but he told them you need to stop. It's a Holocaust what you're doing in Lebanon right now. That's what he told him. And he stopped.
This is
So,
insane.
yes. Oh, another one that Trump is okay, Pam Bondi, I'm so sorry you guys. She is a disgusting excuse for a human being. She comes from Tampa, Florida. So
Way to go,
she's,
Christy.
yeah, it's real bad.
Blame you
But
this
she
time.
said all funding should be cut off to every sanctuary city. Well, whether you're a sanctuary city or not, your city, that doesn't come into anything when it comes to funding. It just doesn't. Your city, it goes by population, it goes by tax revenue, there's, by the housing, the taxes, there's so many components, but they don't ask, are you a sanctuary city? You get the federal funding because the laws that were agreed on by the House and the Senate and then signed by the then president became the law. And to change it, you have to then change the law. That's how that works. So it's just uh every day. I love the news. You guys know that. I'm obsessed. I like to be informed. But there's been many days where I watch Democracy Now, as always, and then afterwards I'm like, I fucking can't today. I can't. I can't.
Hmm.
The minutia of all of it is that whole overwhelm, 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 so that people tune out. Well, I don't want to be overwhelmed and tune out, so I take a break and then I come back the
Yeah.
next day. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to stop and listen to When I Think About You, I Touch Myself.
Oh,
Thank you. That was what I needed.
you're welcome.
Yes. Um, okay. Um, couple other things real quick because we do need to wrap up. We need to be done before
Yes.
midnight. That's the rule. We all turn it into pumpkins so you guys can't see that.
Mm,
Um, and then
yeah, it's
Nacho becomes
scary.
real. Um, okay, so other shit. Elon Musk is a fucking rat who's doing a bunch of illegal shit. Oh, I wanted to just make the point. I want to talk to what's his name from Legal Eagle? Do you know his name?
Yes, his take on
Yeah.
all this is brilliant.
Yeah. I haven't listened to everything, but I want to ask him a fucking question. I want to ask
Mm,
a lawyer a
I would
question.
love to
Um,
get him.
because this shit is maddening to me. What they're doing, like at the Treasury, right? It's illegal. It's a
Mm-hmm.
federal offense, illegal. Like we know that. So like the dude who was doing his job, keeping congressmen from being like going in the building, like I'm glad I don't have time to go to protests because I would get myself in fucking trouble. Right? Like that dude's blocking the door to a public place and the congressmen are allowed in there legally. I would want to make a citizen's arrest. Be like,
I
cool,
love it.
you look like you're in charge. I don't think you really are. Um, and I think this is a federal offense. I'm going to arrest you, sir. Like, and I would just try my luck at it. Um, and I want to know why no one's talking about. Like, if Doge is going in there and breaking federal law, why can't citizens go in there and arrest them and then get a warrant? I want to know
Mhm.
why that's not happening. I would love for that to happen. That would be fucking great, right? Go peaceful protest and just arrest the assholes who were breaking the law. Um,
Mm,
but I can only imagine that would erupt into violence because the ones breaking the law would force it to be violent.
yes.
Um, and they have um, they have people behind them, right? Is that the only reason people aren't making citizens like arrests? Like I don't know. This is a question that I have that I want to ask a lawyer. So if anyone can get us in touch with
Oh God,
someone,
that would be amazing.
that would be great. Like if it's legal eagle, I don't give a fuck who it is, just someone who knows about this topic so I can ask the question
Leisha
because
Miller is a lawyer.
I forgot. Yeah. If someone can help us get a hold of either one of these channels to
Yes.
talk about like what can we legally do? Like
Yeah.
as activists,
Midas
as
Touch are constitutional attorneys.
get us in
Right.
touch with
I'm just
these
like my
people.
head's like there's so many amazing and Nacha he's like Legal Eagle just dropped a new vid either today or yesterday. Yes, I watched um the last three, the newest three
Yeah,
today. And
gotcha.
yeah, I love how he breaks it down. He is a good communicator because I don't speak legalese. I don't, that's
Mhm.
not normal talk. And he's able to look at it, read it, understand it because he's a lawyer, and then put it in terms that people who aren't lawyers can understand, which is
Yeah,
like science communication. It's everything. And we need it now more than ever. And then
yeah.
we also
So
have we had a question. Reading the news takes the edge off, and there aren't any good video format news sources. Well, I guess it's not a question, but that is a statement which I say are is incorrect because Democracy Now is available on YouTube. It's been Democracy Now for over 23 years. It's won every kind of award it can for investigative journalism. It's live Monday through Friday on YouTube, and also another one, if you like YouTube, is the Tom Hartman show. The Tom Hartman show is more of a 2 or 3, I think it's 2 or 3, yeah, 2 or 3 hour show Monday through Friday. You don't need to watch the whole thing. But he has callers call in who don't agree with him, and callers that do, and then the Majority Report. Mwah. The Majority Report with Sam Cedar
yeah,
has also been around for 18, 19 years. It was a radio show before it had YouTube. But if you had to just choose one and you need it to be every morning or every day before noon, so, it would be there, is
you're gonna
Democracy
say
Now with
democracy
Amy
now.
Goodman. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
I start,
I know
even
where
if I
you're
don't
going
do
with this.
news, I do Democracy Now. If I'm like, it's not a
Yeah,
news day, I still, sometimes they're 9 minutes that the morning, it's called headlines. They do 2 hour
yeah,
show every, but the headlines just goes over a brief explanation of all that day's headlines. And then the rest of the show then goes in depth into those. So if you just want to get like the things that are factually happening with actual sources that can be
yeah,
demonstrated, Democracy
and
Now!
great interviews.
Oh, yes. They
Yeah,
interview all the people mainstream media would never even look at.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here, let me caveat and piggyback on to what Christy's saying, um,
Oh, they just prefer to
just for a
read.
little more.
Yes.
Huh?
If you want to read the news, one of my favorites right now is Middle East Eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Middle Eastern Eye is great.
Middle
Yeah,
East Eye
absolutely
is
fantastic.
killing it right now.
Yes, like anything Zateo as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Zateo is, yeah, everything that's up here. Any Mehdi
Mhm.
Hassan can do no
Mehdi
wrong in my
Hassan.
eye.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's what Cenk Uygur wants to be when he
Yeah.
grows
And
up, but he'll never reach it.
Hassan, Cenk Uyghur's nephew.
Yeah,
Mwah. Yeah, his ideology and mine are like identical.
there we go. So the thing to piggyback on real quick, Democracy Now, absolutely, um, it's so valuable. It's invaluable. It's important. If you're not keeping up with Democracy Now at least as much as I am. I watch like one or two videos from Democracy Now like a week. Not enough, right? Um, but for me, it's a little dry. And I'm like at work and I need like Kyle or Mike
Oh,
uh,
yeah, Mike Figueredo and Kyle
Figueredo.
could do no wrong either.
Yeah,
I watch Kyle
but
nearly
they
every
make it funny,
yeah.
or like Jon Stewart, or even Last Week Tonight with
Oh, Jon Stewart
John
and John
Oliver.
Oliver. Yeah,
I like
love.
him.
I
Um,
love John Oliver.
yeah, he's the one who like one of the first sources that I found on any kind of left, right? Um, but they're great, especially like if you already kind of know like you're a lefty, right? And you want some more straight dope, right? Go to these
Yeah.
people and go to Democracy Now. It's a little dry for me. It is a little dry, but it is very factual. Now,
Yes.
don't give Democracy Now over to your MAGA family, right? I mean, you should. They need it, but I say you need to give them breaking points,
Yes.
right? They have right-wing people on there
Breaking
with real
points is
right-wing pushback and left-wing pushback. Like
yes.
you get a larger Overton window and they'll find something there that they can connect with sooner.
Right.
Democracy
Isn't their
Now
whole
is just gonna
premise
look like
populism, right? It's
it is
left-wing
populism.
populism and conservative populism. That's where they
Yes.
meet, is the
Yeah.
populism. But her co-host is a douchebag, so he's
Um
real hard for me to watch.
Dogger.
I
Yeah.
want to punch
He's
him in his
he's
goddamn
gotten
throat.
pretty he's gotten pretty bad. And what's her name?
The blonde,
Jasinski? Yeah.
yeah. If she
Jasinski.
fell out of a tree and broke something, I would just keep walking. Like I
So,
just don't like her at all.
sometimes I listen to him like, wow, I'm so glad she's on the show and she's a good counterpart to
Yeah.
counterpoints. Ryan's Grim. And then other times I hear her talk, I'm like, why do I ever click on a video where you're in it? Like,
I felt like
just
that
fuck
too.
off.
But then I saw
So
her on very far alt right
yeah,
wing podcast, and they're just spewing hatred and
I
vitriol
think I
and
remember the
racism.
one.
And she's just like, that
Yeah,
nothing, just like listening to him. She doesn't go, oh, or I mean, I would be like, what are you talking? Nothing, doesn't phase her. It's like just normal. And that was what lost it
because
for me.
yeah, it's pretty disgusting. But still,
Hmm.
it's just send that to your friends and family. Send that to the normies because that's the kind of news normies should be watching,
Mm,
right? Where they get a little more of the left, a little more of the right, a little more realism. They talk about some economics. They have good guests. Um, it's really good stuff. And um, as I said, I'm trying to get into or back into the philosophy realm a little bit and teach it. And
yeah.
if you need to realize that cognitive dissonance, this
Yep.
logical fallacy, doublethink, is an opportunity to learn. And that's what you'll get over at breaking points. You will find ideas that clash and a couple things might make sense to you, and then you're gonna have to think about it, tear it apart a
Yeah,
little bit.
you're right. It's real good for normies. This is the most excellent suggestion you could give them. It's probably
Cool,
breaking point. Yeah, I
cool,
agree with that.
cool.
I agree.
But
I
but
think
if you
Mike
know where you're at and you want
Figueredo.
to keep up, Democracy Now.
Yeah. Yes, I like Democracy Now because I like reading the news. Like
Mhm.
our guest here, I love reading the news, and so if you don't want to watch Democracy Now, you go to democracynow.org and you read the show. So, but I like real, genuine, investigative journalism. Like at its
Yeah.
core, what it's supposed to be. And Amy Goodman is this big, and she'll have that microphone just like pounding them.
Hmm.
What do you mean? And how do you? No, 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 and not in a like, why is this person here? As in a holy shit, a real journalist is here.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
really
Listen,
asking questions.
when we lose Amy Goodman, I'm gonna grieve. Like, she is such a huge part of my life.
I know,
Every
I
day. I've
know.
never met her, and I see Noam Chomsky quite often, now still, and I'm like, even though he's super old and looks like Moses right now because he hasn't cut anything, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
devastated when he goes. I'm just gonna
I
be
know,
devastated.
I know.
I
We got to
know.
get Amy Goodman's attention someday for you.
Oh, I would love that.
Great. I
Jeremy
know you would.
Scahill got his start there. He used to write her letters when he was nobody. Let me help you. I just want to do this and let me do that. And then he showed
Start
up
writing your
somewhere.
letters, Christy.
Well,
Start writing
he
them.
showed up somewhere where she was doing something and said, "Hi, I'm the guy that's reading your letters, and I just want to come help." And she's like, "I mean, come on by." And then he wasn't paid. He just helped out and did things and learned journalism from Amy Goodman.
That's so cool. And Jeremy
Yeah.
Scahill is the one with Drop Site News with Ryan Grimm, right?
Yes.
I was going
And
to mention that
the
next.
whole Snowden thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
helped with that.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes. And Intercept before that.
Yeah. So wasn't that with the other dude who's like down in South America right now? What's his
Yes.
face?
Yes. Yes.
What's his
Yeah.
face? What's his
Yeah, I
name?
know. I know.
I see
He's
his
got all the
face.
dogs. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, he's in Costa Rica. He's got like 100 and something dogs on a big, huge ranch. I know. I can't think of his name either.
How do we forget his name? How do we both forget his
Brett?
name?
No. I'll remember it as
Smitty
soon
knows
as,
his name.
of course.
Smitty knows it. Okay.
Anyway,
Um, anyway,
I,
okay. There's so much more to talk. There's so much fucking more to talk about, but we're not gonna
no,
do it. We don't have time. We're pretty
no,
much out of time, but I will close this with a couple neat little quotes that
yes.
I want
Okay.
to leave you guys with this. I want to make a post about this really, really soon. Um, but man, there's so much I don't like to read. Okay.
We'll read for you anytime you need me to.
I know you would, but I need to read. I need to
Yes,
do it myself.
I need to listen.
Okay. I hate that this is where we are. Um, this is, I want to give everyone a little insight to where I've been thinking we are as a country, right? Here's the State of the Union from my perspective. Um, a lot of people like to make the joke that like we're in an idiocracy right now. We're just led by a bunch of idiots. Like water? You mean the stuff from the toilets? Plants need electrolytes to grow, man. I don't think we're actually there. That's not the State of the Union. The State of the Union is actually, I think I have it behind me. I'll look for just a moment. I don't see it yet. That's okay. Uh, V for Vendetta. That's
Yeah,
where we.
yes.
Um, so I wanted to read. I wanted to read a couple like speeches from the movie, but
Okay.
I'm gonna shorten it up. I'm gonna shorten it up a
Okay.
lot. So we can get going. But when V is on the TV, um he's talking about um I'm gonna scoot down a little bit. Oh no, I'm just gonna read the whole fucking thing. I'm gonna read the whole fucking thing because I'm on the TV. I'm not gonna read it as well, right? So he goes on and he says, "Good evening, London. Allow me first to apologize for this interruption. I do, like many of you, appreciate the comforts of everyday routine, the security of the familiar, the tranquility of repetition. I enjoy them as much as any bloke. But in the spirit of commemoration, thereby those important events of the past, usually associated with someone's death or end of some awful bloody struggle, a celebration of a nice holiday. I thought we would mark this November the 5th, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. So I want to point out at this point, um, we all enjoy the comforts of everyday routine, right? Um,
Mm.
but we're forgetting things like the Nazis. But moving on. So to have a little chat, there are, of course, those of there are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. I suspect now, even now, orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way.
Yeah.
Why? Because while uh, the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words
Mm,
offer the means to meaning. And for
mm.
those who will listen, oh shit, I can't, the enunciation of truth. Never had to read the word enunciation. Um,
Yeah, I have
and
to
the
look it up.
truth, yeah,
Yeah.
and the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have sensors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission. How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only to look into a mirror. And I know why you did it, why you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. Uh, there were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you, and in your panic, you turned to the now High Chancellor Adam Sutler, which we can all relate. He promised you order, he promised you peace, and all he demanded in return was your silent, obedient consent. Again, we can all relate. Last night, I sought to end that silence. Last night, I destroyed the Old Bailey to remind this country what it has forgotten. More than 400 years ago, a great citizen wished to embed the 5th of November forever in our memory. His hope was uh, to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I suggest you allow the 5th of November uh, to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me a year from tonight, outside the gates of Parliament, and together we shall give them a 5th of November that they shall never ever be, or that will shall never ever be forgot. I love that. It's fantastic, but I hate that it's like just today. And I wanted to talk about this months ago because it was lost on nearly everyone, I feel like. He was elected on the 5th of November.
Yep.
He soiled it.
Yeah.
And
He's a spoiler.
Um, do you have any comments on that before I like? Because I have
No, it's
another small
brilliant.
one.
The whole movie
The
is
whole movie.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so the High Chancellor, Adam Sutler, they're Donald Trump. Um, he, I'll tell you what he said before his TV speech towards the end of the movie, after I read the TV speech, because I feel like you'll get more insight of it. Um, my fellow Englishmen, tonight our country, uh, that which we stand for, and all we hold dear, faces a grave and terrible threat. This violent and unparalleled assault on our security will not go undefended or unpunished. Our enemy is an insidious one, seeking to divide us and destroy the very foundation of our great nation. Tonight, we must remain steadfast. We must remain determined. But most of all, we must remain united. Those caught tonight in violation of curfew will be considered in league with our enemy and prosecuted as a terrorist without leniency or exception. Tonight, I give you my most solemn vow that justice will be swift, it will be righteous, and it will be without mercy. And if you remember at the end of the movie, besides the train, it was a peaceful protest through and through. It was a peaceful protest. Anyone in violation will of this curfew will be prosecuted as a terrorist, and that's what they do. Can we just shoot the terrorists in the legs? I'm sorry. Can we
I
just shoot
remember.
the protesters in the legs? You know,
Hmm.
like Israel does in the
Hmm.
Great March of Return. Now, what I wanted to share with you
Hmm.
afterward, because it is out of order, and I realize that, before he goes on, he tells his little league of billionaires, most likely,
Hmm.
I want this country to realize that we stand on the edge of oblivion. I want every man, woman, and child to understand how close we are to chaos.
Well,
I
yeah,
want everyone to remember why they need us. And that's the goddamn point.
right.
That's the whole gig. Like, they blame the trans community
Hmm.
and they blame woke ideology. They blame smallish brown people every fucking time who are standing up for the last pieces of land that they ever have in whatever country we're fucking helping colonize or colonizing. And they say they're the terrorists over and over. And again, just like the Nazis, they blame the LGBTQ community because they refuse to understand something so simple as sex and gender are two different things, and sex is not just two different things.
Mm.
Um, it's because they refuse to have their worldview widened,
Yeah.
and they call it chaos because it doesn't fit in their cute little binary. And I get it; it's uncomfortable. We all want that comfortability, right? As V says, they speak very much like us. We want peace. They want peace. They want unity through strength.
Uh,
We don't want unity through strength. We want unity through peace and collaboration, kind of
Community.
like communism. But they paint communism as violence. And it
Of
is
course.
to billionaire when you steal someone's speech because money is speech. All of it. So equality looks like um, oppression to the oppressors
That's such a
over
great
and
quote.
over again. Um,
Yeah.
this is where we are. please watch the movie again and remind everyone because it's kind of a cult classic now.
Yeah,
Many people
definitely.
remember it. I'm sure many MAGA people love this movie and they forgot what it's about. But if you go back and watch it, because I watched it when I was still very Christian and assumingly like right wing, because I didn't really look into it. But then
Right.
when I watched it as an atheist and a leftist, I'm just like, oh shit, who I just assumed in my head were probably the good guys. They're the fucking bad guys. And they
Hmm.
really are. They're like, they killed so many people just for being what they call chaos. It's mind-boggling when you go back and watch it and appreciate it for what it is. Um, and if I remember right, I heard Pat Natalie Portman's name recently. She is on the right side of things, and they don't
Hmm.
fucking talk about it.
Right.
Because she's Israeli, and I don't
Yeah.
think she's Zionist.
No,
Um,
Wonder Woman is. What's her
she
name that
is
plays Wonder? It's I
Gal
can't even
Gadot.
watch. I can't
Gal
even
Gadot.
look at. Yeah, I can't even look at her now.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing.
Not only is she just a Zionist, like whatever, you can have whatever ideology. She held like these not conferences, they were in people's homes or rented out halls where it
Yeah,
was to raise money
she's loud and
and
proud about it.
yeah, she's loud and proud about it.
Yeah.
Mentioning V for Vendetta and reading all that, it reminded me exactly of Anonymous put out this week a message, and it's quite, I'm sure it gave me warm fuzzies. And I'm not a big Anonymous fan. I don't follow them like that. You know, they've had
Same.
hits and misses, but they're 100% correct in how they're feeling.
Yeah.
They're considered ethical hackers. You know, that's how they consider themselves. And the message pretty much is a V for Vendetta message. It was great.
We
I
have to
did
stand
share it.
together now because it's going to be harder to stand together later, is
Yes,
basically what they said.
yes. And that because of their hacking skills, because of this takeover, that by shutting things down and doing it all unprofessionally, not through the channels, that they left a lot of cracks in the foundation that they've already found, and they already know who's doing what in there, and
Yeah.
they're going to use it.
And I hope they do. And I hope they organize. I
I
want to
did
be
share it
part of
in the
that.
chat for anyone who wants to watch that.
Great.
Just a
The
few
thing is,
messages there.
what they need to do is they need to organize a general strike.
I
When they're going to
agree.
do whatever they need to do, the
Yes.
common man at the
Mhm.
same time needs to do a general strike.
You
Just
and I have been wanting a general strike since like the first week that we started
right.
doing Leah.
Right. But if Anonymous can do something and they
Yeah.
want us to organize, that is the thing. That is the thing that everyone can do. We can't do much else.
Right.
We can stay home for a day or two
Well, there
while
were
they do whatever they do.
50 protests in all 50 states today. The call went out on Democracy Now's where you read, the articles on
Mhm.
their actual.org. The call went out there and on all activists who have any, who are plugged in and know what's going on. It was at in every state at your capital. If you can't get to your capital, then your local mayor's house. If you can't get there, then they named a few things that
Yeah.
so that everyone can go somewhere, and literally everyone who saw that, I feel like, went out except for like I couldn't. Um
Yeah.
but if you could, you were there. It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. And we need more of it because they need to see the public's dissent and the Democrats fucking need to see it. That's the thing.
right.
Like if we don't get anything out of the Republicans, if we get the Democrats to be 50% less feckless, that'd be nice. That'd be something.
Yeah.
Okay, we love you
Uh,
guys. We
we
need to
do.
let Nacha out from underneath the desk. He's getting
Yes,
really
please.
warm down there.
You're a
He's
good boy.
heavy breathing. Not focusing on her so much. All right. We gotta go. We love you guys so much.
I love you so
Christy,
much. I think
lead
you
us
should
out.
probably say,
Stay humanist,
for
for
God
God's
bless.
sake.
Yay. Our upside down future man is
Yeah.
probably going, holy shit,
Is he
I
still
hate
under there? He's not speaking yet. Maybe his mouth's full.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Oh, he didn't fall asleep because we had just, go, 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 go. Oh, Project. It was a protest movement against the practices of the Church of Scientology by members of Anonymous, a leaderless internet based group. The project was started in a response to the Church of Scientology's attempts to remove material from a highly publicized interview with Scientologist Tom Cruise from the internet, January 2008. So, little fun fact: Smitty is very very full of information in that noggin of his.
Oh yeah, I know. And
Yes.
we're still alive, just so you know.
Oh no, Chuck. No, no,
We can do a
no.
little dance.
Do a little dance. Make a little
Get
get down
down
tonight.
tonight.
Go down
Woo,
tonight.
woo. There's another copyright strike. I'm back. Oh, and all good. We ended the show. We're all
You're
done.
being elegant.